In woodlands all over the south of England are hundreds of colonies of this native stalwart. Euphorbiaceae is one of the biggest genus in the world, but of it, only about 140 species can be grown under our garden conditions. We've got our own wild forms of it, of course. This beautiful Euphorbia amygdaloides, the wood spurge. You've probably seen it as you've been whizzing by. It lines road verges and tumbles up and down the woods. It's a magnificent plant. First of all, in the spring, these stems emerge with these whorls of symmetrical leaves right the way up, and gradually the flower stem is thrust from them. It's like a crozier. It leans its head and then gradually it stands up straight and these big vivid bracts come out. They're there to announce its presence, not to us, but to the insects that it needs to pollinate it. But the flowers themselves are contained deep within. They're tiny, minute. What a glorious sight it is. Euphorbia's cultivated cousins are to be found in gardens all over the country. But where better to savour the delights of euphorbias than by visiting a national collection? And this one has such an unlikely home, on an allotment just outside Sheffield. Here you'll find 134 different species and cultivars that have been collected and lovingly nurtured by retired teacher Don Whitten. It's beautiful, Don, it really is lovely. But what were the first euphorbias you ever grew?
Well, they're here, Carol. The first two I got, both freebies, being a Yorkshireman, out for now, and I'm in for it. Yeah. Euphorbia robbii, with its deep evergreen foliage, and Cypricius, the dainty little one that takes over the rock. They're both thugs. I say it wasn't love at first sight, obviously, but when I realised that the two different foliages were part of the same genus, I was fascinated.
You got hooked?
I got hooked,
yeah.
And as I said, I started tracking them down all over Britain, really.
And wherever you are you constantly thinking about euphorbia?
I'm a euphorbia freak. I can't, you know, it's euphoric about euphorbias, just doesn't say it. There's a euphorbia for every part of the garden, whether it's sunny rockery, scree, you know, evergreen, because half the collection are evergreen, the other half are deciduous, die down for the winter. Out of the 130 I've got. You've
a beautiful Euphorbia myrsinites over there, and that's one that, it's a hillside spurge.
Yes, I've seen it, I've tracked them down, and you know, my Euphorbia passion has taken me all over Europe to see them in the wild. I've seen them growing out of cracks in rocks and all sorts of things, and when they grow in my soil, they think they're having their birthday. You know, they're there.
As euphorbias can be quite promiscuous, Don takes cuttings to maintain the integrity of this national collection. Because of the toxic nature of the sap, it's a good idea to wear gloves. Don dips the cuttings in a hormone rooting powder to encourage them to develop roots. And one of his top tips is always to leave the cuttings uncovered. If you had to recommend, say 3. Oh, it's horrible,
Carol,
isn't
that's
it?
a devil of a
It's like saying,
job.
what's your favourite plant?
Yeah.
It's an awful question.
It's got to be. I mean, the polychromas is still my favourite species.
Yeah.
Midas is my favourite one.
Yellow.
Polychroma Midas. Here. It's got the Midas touch.
It's beautiful.
It's going to continue growing for another month and just swamp itself in those acid bracts.
If that's your best of the best, what else do you like?
If I had to list the next one, it would be another deciduous form, one from the Himalayas that will be flowering at the end of June and July over there. It's got fabulous foliage, as you can see.
Ooh.
You want to know its name, don't you?
Yeah.
It's Euphorbia Don, AI. And I'm afraid, just like this Don isn't, it's strong and handsome and upright and well-behaved.
And upright?
Yes.
Is it well-behaved?
Oh, it is. It's a nice
Always.
clumper. Nice
Right.
clumper. You won't get seedlings. It certainly doesn't run.
And what about some of the ones that are like our native one? What about forms of amygdaloides?
Well, I've got the red leaf version over there. Looks absolutely fabulous at the minute. I do have one or two like Cypricius that, you know, we let loose.
Well, you don't have any choice with that, do you? Because
No,
it goes exactly where it wants to.
It's a mischievous little rascal, I call it. You name a garden situation, and I can tell you a euphorbia that will slot in there. Dry shade, full sun, swamp spurge.
Do you know what? I think you could probably tell me several.
Yep. How did you guess, Carol?
Don's divine allotment demonstrates the diversity and usefulness of this broad-ranging species. There's everything from our native wood spurge that loves the shade through to great towering Mediterranean beauties and exotic species from the Himalayas. And it's not as though this was the end of it. At the moment you can see bare soil here, but you give it a couple of months and this whole thing will have exploded into this bounty of growth. And what's more, it will go on looking wonderful. Euphorbias providing their beauty right the way through till the end of the autumn.